Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales. And today, if you've been struggling with the idea that you don't have the confidence that you need or that you can't be authentic to your leadership style in a male-dominated industry, you have arrived in the right place. Today, we are going to discuss the neuroscience of authentic leadership, why fake it till you make it fails. And I would love to introduce to you our guest, Sara Anderson. She's a leadership and influence strategist who helps technical professionals and founders develop authentic confidence and strategic influence. With a unique approach that rejects fake it till you make it mentality, Sara works at the intersection of nervous system regulation, embodied confidence, and interpersonal dynamics. She specializes in helping people navigate high-stakes situations, from investor pitches to co-founder conflicts to critical team decisions, by addressing the underlying patterns that create self-doubt, relational friction, and performance anxiety. Her clients achieve remarkable results by doing the internal work that allows them to show up powerfully without performing or abandoning themselves. Sara enables people to operate from genuine confidence rather than faking it, whether they're considering a major career transition, scaling a company, or stepping into bigger leadership roles. She's based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she combines practical influence strategies with somatic and psychological insights to help technical minds own their presence in any high-stakes conversation. Welcome, Sara. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Wow, I am so happy to be here with you today, and I am just excited to embark upon the journey that we are about to have in conversation.
Exactly. Well, and I love that you reject this whole fake it till you make it, because I've always hated that advice. And I've always felt like when I try to do that, I'm actually letting the world know that I am doing that. And that just never worked for me. But before we dig into that, I would love to understand how you arrived to doing the work that you do.
Yes, let's see. How far do we go back? No, what I do today is really an amalgamation of everything that I had done prior to this, including being in tech. So I had a tech career before this. I like to say I held just about any role you can hold without coding. So all of the people related roles, I've been in sales and marketing and partnerships, strategic partnerships. And I also ran an innovation incubator at Uber. And a lot of what allowed me to have a tech career with zero technical background with a comms degree is that I did really understand how other people worked and how to create the connections and relationships that needed to happen in order for us to all win together. And I also was a competitive public speaker in university. And at some point, when I found out or I figured out that I've always had this seed of entrepreneurship within me that just wanted to bloom, and I did a lot of my own inner work when I was recognizing how much anxiety was impacting me, burnout was happening for me. And once I started to uncover and peel back a lot of these layers for myself, I realized that things didn't have to be as hard as they were for me. And that was what I was passionate about. And that's what I wanted to support other people with. So it was really through my own exploration, journey, transformation that brought me to where I am today.
I love that. And I think that is a missing piece a lot of times on the tech career trajectory, because we're really good at talking to computers. We know lots of computer languages. We know how to structure things. We know how to program and user interfaces and all this kind of stuff. But when it comes to like actually interfacing with real live people, a lot of times that's where the tech types get stuck, because it hasn't been fostered in us, right? We're oftentimes parked in cubicles, and they're just different. They're special, right? And when you start advancing in your career and you're trying to interact with and influence other people on a project, for example, or you've moved into a leadership role, or better yet, you've got this amazing idea, you're going to found a company and you're going to go do the thing, that's where relationships become super critical.
Yeah.
Your confidence like sets the stage for how people are going to interact with you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that brings us back around to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
What actually happens when I'm trying to follow that advice? Because I have determined through my own little experiment of one that that's not a viable approach.
There's two distinct versions of why it's not a viable approach, and I'd be curious about yours, but I'll share that one is that we tend to have this idea that everything we want will internally, as far as how we feel, whether it's confidence, joy, happiness, acceptance, belonging, like all of these really key emotions, are going to be a byproduct of insert whatever goal, like this
Ah,
title.
yes, the I'll be happy when trap.
Right, which is like that mirage that just keeps staying exactly as far away
Just
because
off on
especially
the edge of the horizon.
it
Yes.
keeps moving. And as high achievers, we love to move it. Like we move the goalpost. As soon as we get up close to the one that we're getting close to, we
Yeah,
have this
check that
idea.
off. Insert new goal.
When's the new one? Yeah, and we
Yeah.
don't even, so that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But the point being is that if you expect that you're going to get it as a byproduct, and then you get all of the things that you thought would give you that confidence, and you still don't feel confident, that's when we're in a really dangerous territory. That's when we see people who have everything but they're having an existential crisis, right? Or
Yes.
they're
Yes.
overcompensating and getting aggressive. That can
Hmm.
happen. And the other reason that fake it till you make it doesn't work that pertained to my experience was I was naturally very good at chameleoning, is what I call it.
Yes. Uh-huh. Adapting to whatever environment you are thrown into.
Just happens for me. And it was actually a big part of why I was able to be successful. But it only helps to a certain point because I realized that I could naturally snap into whoever I needed to be for any situation, but I didn't stand on the ground of who I was.
Yeah,
My
you lose your
conviction.
authentic self in many ways when you're able to do that and you don't deliberately counter it.
That's right. And then you get to a place in your career where you're either a founder or you're wanting to get into the C-suite. And that's when it becomes really important that you have strong opinions and that you know who you are. And if you
Yes,
folded that away, that can be a very difficult place to be too. So those are kind of two different
exactly.
pathways.
Then there's an expectation that you will be a thought leader.
Mm,
Well, you have to authentically express your opinion to be a thought leader. Otherwise, you're just parroting what the rest of the internet has to say.
exactly. Yes.
Ah, so what actually happens when we try to blend in with our environment, fake confidence, and why doesn't that work out for us?
It doesn't work because there's an incongruence when we're doing that. Like we as human beings have our whole internal systems that are happening as at the same time as all of our conscious systems that are happening. So if you're faking it, there's a good chance that there are tells that my body is picking up on. And if I feel like you're trying to force it, or there's even little things that happen, like your vocal cords will constrain, your voice
Hmm.
will be higher and tighter and more brittle. And while I might not know that intellectually, on the animal part of me, it signals danger, it signals red flag. Like there's a lot of reasons where it kills your trust and your influence because people are picking up on these signals of like, well, she says that she's this leader and that I should trust her, but also there's an inner chaos that's emanating from
Yeah,
her.
exactly. Her
Yeah.
voice upsqueaks at the end of statements. This is not good.
Yeah, yeah. Why does this sound like a question? It should be a period. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So, how do you balance this? How do you move through this sort of growth trajectory? Because I feel from my experience, it is a growth trajectory, right? You stretch to the limit that you can and you kind of snap back a little bit, but you're farther ahead than you were when you stretched. How
Mhm.
is that different from fake it till you make it? And how does this play together?
like stretching yourself and seeing your own capability is a really key piece to confidence. It's different than fake it till you make it in that you're actually seeing yourself be able to achieve things. But I like to bring in something, an entirely new layer on top of this, because you could be, let's say, for example, you're doing big stretchy things that are really scary for you.
Yeah,
Maybe let's do public speaking because that's a big one for a lot of people. So let's
it
say,
is. And when you go into C-suite or founder, guess what? You're
yes.
inviting a lot of public speaking into your life.
Yes, you're getting mic'd up. So, like, let's say that you're going on stage and you're speaking, but every time you do, your stomach is doing flip-flops, your heart is racing. Maybe you're like me when I did
Palms
competitive
get
public speaking.
sweaty.
Yeah, like you black out. And then afterward, and this is super common, afterward, you're berating yourself.
Oh
Ugh,
God, yes.
so that person in the back was on their phone probably because I was so boring and like, did I talk too fast and like all
And
these
I
things.
swear I ummed like every third sentence.
Yeah, I probably was a complete idiot. No one's ever going to want to talk to me again. Like whatever your version is, then you are conditioning yourself to be scared of public speaking because now you have, it's like a Pavlovian response. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, when I public speak, I get beat up by myself afterward.
yeah.
So, a couple of the way I like to come in at multiple angles when I'm working with clients on this. One is let's regulate your nervous system. Let's actually learn how you can calm yourself down
Mm,
so that you're not in that activated state. And then let's repattern your conditioning in your mind so that you aren't on that same talk track. And a lot of times I'll swap in some more growth-oriented metrics to give you something to actually focus on, let's say if you want to get better at public speaking. But
right.
in this way, we're growing confidence in a different way. We're growing it inherently in ourselves, and we're getting away from another pitfall that I see with confidence, which is situational confidence. Like,
Mm.
oh, if I repeat this same situation with the same conditions and the same people, now I'm comfortable, but only in this room. And then every time I'm starting over again.
It's another room and a whole different starting point. Well, I
Mhm.
love that. And you kind of inferred or passed over something that I'd like to pull forward, which is a lot of the activated state that we have when we're fixing to publicly present, the jittery feeling in your stomach and the sweaty palms and all of that sort of stuff. It's exactly the same sensations you have when you're intensely anticipating something good.
Yeah.
And I find it helps me to reframe what I'm feeling with a different story. Not, I'm scared to death to go do this thing. It's like, no, I'm so pumped up to be in front of this group. I'm so excited for how this is going to go because it leaves me feeling more confident. If I'm going to lie to myself about the situation, and I kind of am, I
Mhm.
want it to be something that supports me.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a saying that anxiety is just excitement without the breath, because we tend to
Yes.
hold our breath when we're in that sort of situation, right? So, how can we bring the breath in? How can we work with our mindset? And I love what you said about the mindset piece because sometimes doing some work with your mindset aside from the actual in real life situation can be so helpful. Because I'm thinking of a client of mine where she wanted to start posting on LinkedIn to have more of thought leadership, but she was scared because I was like, well, why? Like, what are we scared of? Let's get really granular
Yeah,
because
let's break it down. What
let's break it down.
exactly is going to happen?
What's scary? Because
Yeah.
our ego hates vague things. So the more that we can get granular, the more we're able to shine light in the dark places, the easier it becomes. So for her, it was, I was like, I love
Yeah.
to hear about a nightmare scenario. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's
I
talk about it.
I call it facing the monster, right?
Yeah.
Because the monster in the dark in the closet under your bed that you can't see, oh my gosh, it's so horrific. But if you turn on the lights and you look it in the eye, it's not nearly as big as you thought it was, nor half as scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell
hmm
us about the nightmare scenario.
So,
Let's
so
look this monster in the eye.
the nightmare scenario for her was her colleagues would see it And I'm like, okay. And so
Yeah,
you're
that's part of the point of thought leadership.
right. Yes,
So
we like
keep
this.
going.
Yes, keep going. And then you could see that it was starting to fall apart in her mind because she's like,
Mhm.
okay. And I'm like, yeah, so what's scary about that? And I was like, are they going to tell you about it? Or she's like, yeah, well, maybe they would come up to me at my desk. And I'm like, and say
And
that they saw what I wrote. And I'm like, oh.
and
And then there was a piece to like, oh, who are you to write? And it's pretty, then when we actually say it out loud, it does feel kind of silly because it's pretty unlikely that your teammates are going to come up to you and say, how dare you write on LinkedIn? That's a little
how
far-fetched.
presumptuous of you.
So then that brings some levity, and you're like, okay. And then nothing really. Everything just continues on. Life continues on. They probably go get lunch and forget about it. We probably forget about it. Maybe she's like, we'd probably laugh. And I'm like, yeah. And so sometimes it's just really getting to the root of what am I actually believing, fearing, and thinking that's making my heart jump out of my chest before I'm doing this thing.
I love that. And believe it or not, we are up on our first break already. I like to assign some homework over the break. What do you think would be a nice little thought exercise for the listeners while we spend a couple minutes at commercial?
Well, maybe just what I said. If there's a certain situation that makes you particularly anxious or you want to get better in it, getting really curious without judgment, this is a key part, but getting really curious, what am I thinking? What are the beliefs? What am I afraid of in that moment that's causing me to feel this way? And trust me when I say, because I've seen this with so many people now, that just recognizing that can make a really big shift.
Yeah, look the monster in the eye, turn on the lights, and describe it. And I will re-emphasize the without judgment because it's easy once the lights go on to go, oh, well, it wasn't really a monster. It was a pile of clothes over the chair at the foot of my bed. And it's easy to go feel silly about it, but the whole point was to turn on the lights and see that it was a pile of clothes on the chair. So don't feel silly about it. Don't judge it. Just follow that thought pattern and hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, checked it loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
This is Zofia Morales. I am back with the amazing and wonderful Sara Anderson. And we asked you to spend a little time about the thing that you're fearing right now, the thing that undermines your confidence, and turn on the lights and stare that monster in the face and describe it. I thank you for going through that exercise, and I think you may thank yourself for going through that exercise as well, because I find for myself it makes a huge shift. So let's talk about that transition from brilliant engineer to confident founder. A lot of us, I think for myself, I like to try to tell myself that, oh, well, I'm ready exactly the way I am. And that's probably not a truth that I'm telling myself. What are some of the transitions that really smart people can struggle with when it comes from moving from a highly technical role into a people interfacing role like a co-founder or a founder?
Yeah, a few things. And I also want to speak to the even the decision to become a founder because I'm thinking of one of my clients that I know we had spoken about before where it all kind of hit her at once when we were doing coaching together that she realized that it was actually time for her to go build her own thing. And I think it's so common that we don't let ourselves want what we really want. And we
Oh,
pre-negotiate ourselves out of things. Before anyone even tells us no, we tell ourselves no so that we don't face rejection. So that's
give
before
us
you
an
even transition.
give us an example of negotiating ourselves out of something we want.
It's not practical. Like that's a story. I have this big dream of creating a business that makes a certain amount of money and it also allows me to go out and be a speaker and also I have time with my family, but that sounds crazy. Who can do that, right? So I'm going to pre-negotiate myself
This is
out.
all
Maybe
like diametrically opposed stuff,
I'll
right?
settle, I'll
Yeah.
settle, I'll
Yeah.
settle. rather than really allowing yourself to actually have, even if you don't get everything you want, if you went into a negotiation and you decided that they probably would think that however much you want is too much, so you'll just go a little bit lower, but now you've anchored lower than
Yeah,
you really
exactly.
wanted
And then
to
when
begin
they
with.
come back to get a better deal, now you're anchoring even lower. Yes.
Yes.
Whereas if you'd asked for what you originally set, you probably would have arrived at a higher number even than the one you pre-negotiated yourself to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that wasn't exactly what you were asking. So when we get into like the things that you need as a founder, it really depends, honestly, on the structure of your business. Like, are you the one who is running everything? Do you have someone else who is more the people person? And so you have decided that you're outsourcing that some. But even if
Yes.
you are outsourcing that, it does help to have some basic, like, influence and interpersonal ability to read people,
Hmm.
the ability to understand that not everyone looks through the same lens that we do.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said for being able to build that relationship capital
Yeah.
because there are a great many highly technical founders who get forced out. And I
Right.
think part of the contributing factor there is not having the relationship capital that would help to keep you in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
not
the
the only reason, but I think it's a contributing factor.
relationships will get you everywhere. And unfortunately, and this comes up a lot with people who are like in fundraising or looking for a job, if you need to network, it's too late. You
Yes, yes. The day you go, I need to network. Yeah, you should have started that. But here's the thing, it's like planting a tree. The best time was 25 years ago. The next best time is right now.
Right, exactly. So building those relationships, trusting that it's worth it. My favorite two questions to ask, especially if you're going into an important conversation, a difficult conversation, but even just to ask yourself regularly is what is my objective? So if I'm coming into a conversation, what do I really want to get out of it? A lot of times we go in unfocused, or maybe your real answer is I need to tell them. And so that's probably not a good reason.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to change how the no, 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 probably not the objective that's going to work. I make it a point to not go into those kind of conversations hot.
Yeah, right. So making sure that
Yeah.
you are regulated, making sure that I won't go into kind of all my steps for this framework, but the questions that asking yourself the objective and asking yourself, what do I think this person values generally and in this circumstance? Like, what do I
Yeah.
think they want? What do I think they care about? And what do I think they might be afraid of or worried about? And then
Mm.
I can position whatever it is that I want to have happen in a way that is aligned for them. And a lot of times, I don't know if you use Enneagram, but I use Enneagram as
Yes.
like personality typing. Yeah, for example, there's one personality type in that framework that is the helper. They care about people the most.
Hmm.
And there's another personality type that's the achiever, and they care about achieving things, right? So if the achiever goes in with their lens to the person who's just more of the squishy feelings person, it's not going to land. It's just not in their language, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
And I find that when I'm at odds with someone, if I can really think about where they're coming from, their objectives, their position, I come in from a more constructive position than if walk in there going, they're crazy, they're stupid, they're dumb, whatever the knee jerk response is, because people aren't stupid or dumb or any of that kind of stuff. They've made a logical decision, they've taken a logical action that makes sense in their framework. And if I can remind myself of that before I try to go have the interaction, it turns out to be a much better interaction.
Yes. And that reminds me too, if you're in a position where you're in leadership, there will be people coming to you with things that they need to talk about. And one of the things that has blown my more technical clients' minds when I've had them implement this is simply reflecting and mirroring so that they feel heard. Like
Mm.
you have no idea if you haven't tried this, the difference between being defensive or telling them how they should think about something when they're coming to you hot with something versus just reflecting what they said and their emotional state. Oh, I hear that this has been happening, and that sounds like it's been really frustrating for you. There can be a visceral response in that person of like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
okay. I am heard. I'm not
I was
getting
hurt.
blown off. And I think as scientific engineering types, we are inclined to fix the thing.
Right.
Let's fix the thing. My husband will do this to me. I just want you to listen so I can vent, but he will want to fix it.
Mhm.
And so that's a fundamental shift you're helping us to make by saying, okay, here's what you're going to do. Don't fix it.
Mhm.
Don't judge it. Just reflect back what they're sharing with you. Listen in a present sort of way, and then summarize back using their words as much as you can what you
Mhm.
heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? That's sometimes enough.
It can diffuse a really tense situation. And if you just think about it like they have a package to deliver and you keep ignoring the package, they
Yes.
still are holding it. So if you would just take it and go,
Ringing
thank
the
you.
doorbell.
I see this package. Thank you for giving it to me. Then they no longer are holding that urgently, trying to
Yeah,
get rid of it.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. So that would be one skill set that a brilliant engineering type could learn to become more of a confident founder, to have more people skills in that role. Let's talk more directly about the confidence side of that. How do we start to grow into feeling confident in this brand new world of entrepreneurship and leadership that we maybe are more or less prepared to be in?
Yeah. There are a lot of ups and downs in entrepreneurship, in life, really, but in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship specifically. And this comes back to the external metrics versus the internal metrics. External metrics are really important. You're not going to be able to ignore them. Like you'll know if there's cash in the bank, you'll know like
Yes.
what's happening. This will be
You'll
obvious.
know if the project is on schedule. Yes.
But if your energy and your motivation and your emotion is tied to exactly what's happening, the dollars, the what's the response from people, it's going to make it so much more difficult for you to be able to weather the storms, to cross the chasms of being a founder. So to find more of your own intrinsic growth metrics, to be
Mm.
able to really yeah, let that be more of your fuel than constantly looking outside of yourself all the time.
I love that you brought that forward because that's actually an exercise I went through with myself recently because I am very motivated by the atta girl, good job kind of stuff. I do something cool around the house. I need to show it to my husband and get that little pat on the head or the back or whatever. And when I was in corporate, I would do something pretty similar with my boss on a quasi regular basis. Okay, here's what I've got going on and feedback.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur, a self employed person, I don't get that. And so I had to figure out another way to give myself Atta Girls
Yes.
and to structure in such a way that I could get the Atta Girls when I needed the Atta Girls, even though there's not going to be like a client sitting there going, hey, you changed my life in this amazing way at that particular moment that I need it. And part of what I did was I created a dashboard that
Mhm.
held metrics that were important to me personally. So while the money is important and some of these other key performance indicators are important, what's more important to me is the number of people who are like, oh, that was an amazing interview we just did. Or really appreciate the way that you held space for me around this issue I was struggling with. And I capture those now. I don't just let them slide. I capture them and I put them into a little spreadsheet. And that way, when I need my Atta Girls, I can just go help myself.
I love that. That's such a great exercise to do to be able to remind yourself when you need it to have that well to draw upon. Also, it doesn't hurt to be in community with other people who are
Yeah.
building and to make it a habit together to celebrate the milestones that are within what you can control. So to celebrate, hey, I did this like whatever thing that doesn't really seem like a huge milestone to everyone else, but
Yeah,
everyone
I
listening
did my
knows it is.
50 outreaches this week.
Yes, yes.
Yes, up top, girl.
Right. Yeah. And that's also, it's like yes to doing it yourself and also yes to finding community too.
Yeah. And that was one of the things also that I put on my dashboard
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of time we measure lagging indicators, cash in the bank, investors brought on board, this sort of thing. But what I need to reward myself for are the leading indicators. How many people did I connect with this week? How many conversations, preliminary conversations have I had? How many of those progressed forward? Instead of just celebrating the big, like through the goalpost, yes, we landed in investment, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I love that. So, what else do we need to look at in terms of building our founder confidence?
I'm going to keep harping on nervous system because I know how important it is. And for many reasons, but I think one that is the most compelling, especially for those of us who might be more engineering minded, more like concrete and tangible things, something that I know was really compelling for me was, and I'll demonstrate for the people who watch this on YouTube, but when we are in this activated state, which we're probably going to be in, honestly, like foundership, it's a whole thing.
I was going to say, if one thing's burning, it's another. So, yeah, you're almost always activated.
Yeah, you're always activated. And they call it fight or flight. You're in this activated state, which could be heightened emotions, anxiety, whatever might be happening.
And
What
we don't make good decisions from that point either
no.
because we get hyper focused on the wrong stuff.
Yeah, we get hyper focused on the wrong stuff. And then what happens is, and I think I got this from Peter Levine, who teaches trauma, but he says, like, this, my fist right here, if you
Yeah.
imagine that my fingertips are my
Wrapped
forehead,
over your thumb. Yep.
wrapped over my thumb, this is like my brain stem and going down
The
into my
thumb
wrist.
into the wrist. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm making a fist and my thumb is tucked into it. And the little fingers that are curled, when we get activated, they call it flipping our lid. So they pop up. And
Okay.
now they're no longer connected to my brainstem, the rest of my brain in the same way. And now the reason that this is so important is behind your forehead is your prefrontal cortex, the most modern part of your brain.
Yeah.
It's
The
responsible.
executive function
Yeah,
section. Yes.
we love that to work. Really helpful.
It
The
is hugely helpful. And I need to put a pin in this because we're on our second break.
yeah.
So we're going to finish this discussion of why you need to modulate your limbic system so you can make smart founder decisions after we return from the break. Until then, what I'd like you to do on this break, grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and write down the hair on fire stuff that's going on right now. Maybe some of the monsters you need to look at, and hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shout it loud, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. Oh, no fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales, and I'm back with the amazing and wonderful Sara Anderson. And we put a pin in your discussion of flipping your lid, how your executive function gets disconnected when you go into this flight or fight, firefighting mode. So tell us how we get out of this mode.
Yeah, okay, big cliffhanger. With this fight or flight mode, it takes away our ability to really function to our highest capacity because it's actually disconnecting a lot of the important connections to the rest of our brain. So we're just left with the lizard brain, right? The very primitive
Yes.
part.
The
That
one
is,
that will scratch or bite or whatever it is, regardless.
yeah, the part that's developed mostly in like toddlers who haven't quite developed the other part yet. Right? So that's why, because we actually don't have access to this really important part of our brain, that's why we end up in situations like I'm in a meeting, I was super nervous, someone put me on the spot, and I just completely forgot all this information that I know. I actually know it, but like what happened? I don't know.
Right, right. Or they were really critical and I snapped back at an important investor And
Right.
now we might be losing that support.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're out of body. You're like, who was that?
Yeah. How did this come to happen?
Yes.
And you're eating a big old plate of crow and hoping that they will forgive you. And that's no fun.
Yeah. So yes, those are the reasons why it's so important. And you can see why this as a founder just super critical that we have that on lock because it is actually truly about being authentic. And I can't say this enough because it's not about like people pleasing and like being this whole other person. It's about taking the steering wheel back for yourself so that you can actually have the impact that you want to have and you're not ever hijacked by
Yes,
emotionality in the moment.
exactly. And it helps me to recognize that emotions, although they feel like drivers, are actually messengers.
Mhm.
Okay. There's a reason this emotion has popped up, and it's not so that it can drive the bus, it's to give you information so that
Mhm.
you can make a better decision. So
Yeah.
if you're angry, somebody probably crossed a boundary.
Mhm.
Okay. And so it's important to take that message. Okay, I've had a boundary that's been crossed, but then to let the heat go from that. It's like, okay, I got the message. Now, what do we do to make sure that the lines are clear?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some simple things, and you can Google how you can ask ChatGPT to put together a plan, but there's some simple things that can help you to, on a regular basis, be able to snap into like the clear, calm state that you want to be in. And they
Mm,
say states into traits. The more time you spend in a state, the more time it becomes an ingrained trait. But the problem, the disconnect I see often, I spent a couple years training as a mindfulness teacher. And one of the things I notice is that there are many of us who are like, I'm good in yoga. I'm good with my door shut and everybody leaving me alone.
yes.
But how do you integrate it? And so there are different ways that we can integrate simply by noticing when it's happening, noticing those beliefs, noticing the sensations, like what's going on in my body, and even doing little subtle things in the moment where if I notice that I'm starting to get a little bit anxious, this typically comes with heat or tension in your chest or your throat,
Hmm.
to feel the back of your body, to feel your spine, to feel the weight of yourself on the chair, your feet on the floor, to ground yourself a little bit more, to not, to just take like one breath pause before launching into a response to someone, like things like
Yes, the strategic breath is huge,
that. Mhm.
huge. And I think a lot of us feel like we have to respond quickly because that shows that we know what we're doing. But the truth of the matter is, taking that breath not only gives you space to calm down and give a better answer, but it also prepares the ground for your answer to be received better.
Yeah.
Because let's say someone insulted you, for example. What does this chick know about fill in the blank, right? Okay. It's easy to get triggered and to want to like jump back in that and like clap back. But if you take a deep breath and you just let that sit, it gives time for that statement to echo
Mm-hmm.
and for the other party to realize what they just did.
Mm.
And the longer you let it sit, the more it echoes. And
Mm.
then when you've had your nice deep breath and you go, I did not feel like you're the kind of person who would come with something like that. Was there another way you wanted to maybe express what you wanted to say? A lot of people will take that sort of thing back, and you haven't damaged the relationship in the same way that you would had you clapped back with some spicy response. And it shows that you're a measured and thoughtful leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm thinking about a client that I had where she said that she often had people were in disbelief that she's an AI engineer and that there was a lot of response from men like, oh, well, you don't look like things like
Yeah,
that.
they're expecting a brosif. Yeah.
Totally. And something else that I think is really interesting to play with is because I teach a lot on power dynamics and energetics and conversation. And often the person who's asking the question is the one who holds the power. So
Yes.
sometimes in a situation like that, you may actually have a powerful question to put it back on them. Your spice level is up to you, but you might say something along the lines of like, "Oh, interesting. I'm curious what an engineer looks like to you."
There you
Right?
go.
That's
Hmm.
an interesting way to just kind of shift it. And rather than you being on the spot, now the spotlight is put back on them.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk about being able to invoke a state that we're not in from a state that's not very desirable, because I think there is a trick a little bit to that, as well as it requires a certain amount of practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some steps we can start taking to be able to get to the point where it's like, you know what, I can take my deep breath, I can let that go, and then I can answer from a more calm and rational place? How do we start to bring that to life?
Everyone is so different, which is why I like to introduce variety and have people try what works for them. Like, I wouldn't go tell everyone to go meditate for 30 minutes every day because it's not going to work for everyone, right? You might not have the time, or you might not
Oh,
have the brain that likes that.
the first time I sat down to meditate, it was like this trapped squirrel. It's like, are we there yet? Am I thinking about the right thing? What is it? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So
Yeah.
I ended up getting meditation training wheels in the form of guided meditations. So my busy brain had something to focus on.
Right. That's a perfect example. So if I was working with someone who found, oh, I actually really like guided meditation, or I love a visioning one, or I love it when it guides me to scan my body, or like, okay, work with what's working for you. What are the things that help you to feel more calm? In one of the programs I run, in the beginning of it, we do a nervous system 7 days where every day I drop in a little exercise and they see which ones work for them. And then towards the end, we have a 2.0 where it's no longer about getting to baseline. It's how do you get yourself in the energized and activated state, in a positive
Right.
activation state. The good news is it doesn't have to look any one way. For some people, it's putting on a song and dancing to music and just kind of like, whoo, letting go of everything. For other people, it's meditation. There are tools that we can use. So it's even just feeling into the back of the body or doing what we call like a 5 4 3 2 1 technique, which is that really helps to ground you into the present moment and into calm. Whatever works, keep using it, do it regularly, and then it creates an imprint so that you can call upon it in those moments you need it.
Yeah. And I find when I've achieved a state that I'd like to be able to call forward on demand, it helps me to anchor it to something, like a
Mm.
physical something. I'm going to put my two fingers and my thumb together, and it's going to help me calm and pull into focus. Okay.
Mm.
And so if I practice that other places and then I start bringing it into warmer situations, more intense situations, that kind of gradual ramp up in practice helps me to get there faster and more consistently.
Yeah. You're making me think of a tool that I really love when you're going into some kind of high stakes conversation, especially not necessarily a bad one, more like negotiation or
Yeah.
collaboration, something like that. Because a lot of times we are always playing the negative what if game, like, oh, what if
Right.
this happens? What if that happens? I like to imagine not, I do like a visioning beforehand. And in my mind, what I'm picturing, and some people picture it, some people feel it, everyone's different. I'm not imagining the conversation going well. I'm picturing our outcome together a year from now or
Yes.
6 months from now, where we're all celebrating and we're so happy that we had that conversation that led to this. So that when you go in relaxed, you go in friendly, you go in open, not defensive or guarded, which is going to make it harder.
Exactly, because you've already envisioned the result fait accompli and a ways down the road. So it
Hmm.
takes some of the pressure off of today in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I love that. We're down to like our last 3 minutes or so of
Ooh.
the show. So tell me a little bit about how your work is coming out into the world, how people can get a hold of you. Did you bring a gift for the listeners today? Give us the goods.
Okay, yes, I did bring a gift. I'm really excited to share with you. I have a tool, and what it does is it's a custom GPT. And when you chat with it, it's based upon a framework that I've put together from studying how influence works and what the typical pillars are. And you will get out of it your own roadmap of where you are very strong in your influence and where there are areas of opportunity. But the nice thing is that I bring this really holistic perspective of what are the different ways that you can anchor into some of the things we've talked about today to support you in really feeling that confidence from the inside out while being influential. So that's something that I will provide that
I
people can
love
with.
that. Yes, we'll put the link to that in the show notes.
Yes, I'll share that. My primary way that I work with people is I have a women's leadership cohort I run a couple times a year where we really deep dive into a lot of the things that we talked about today. So that's something that people can find me for, but you can also connect with me, and I'm always doing master classes and workshops, and in the Bay Area I do in-person events too.
Oh, lovely. So if you are in the Bay Area, you can avail yourself of that, or if you happen to be traveling to the Bay Area.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. In the last minute or so here, what would be your final words of advice to someone who's in that growth stretch from, I've been doing this amazing engineering stuff, but now I'm founding or co-founding a company and I'm stepping into leadership in a major way?
That it's a skill just like anything else. Confidence is a skill like anything else. With being able to interface with people in a way that feels good and is productive is also a skill. And there are actually real ways that we can concretize it so that you can feel progress towards it too.
I love that. I love that. It's not some magical, mystical thing out there that you either have or you don't.
No, not at all.
Because it kind of feels that way if you've been in the lab for a long time and looking out at these people who have all this influence and clout and all that. It's like, ooh, wow, amazing. How'd they do that?
Totally.
I love that we can break that down. Tell me what doing life in hard mode is, just quickly in the last couple seconds, because I really resonate with that.
Yeah. Well, just kind of how I said in my own personal experience, there's unknown unknowns. And a lot of these unknown unknowns for many of us are the ways in which we have our own internal resistance that get in the way of us showing up the way that we want to. So, by doing the things that we talked about today and the beautiful examples that you gave, it gives us all an opportunity for us to just have it be easier. It's going to be hard in the ways it's going to be hard, but there are ways that you can make it easier on yourself.
I love that. I love that. And one of the ways you can make it easier on yourself is to connect with other people, whether it's through the podcast here or looking into Sarah's work and her groups. Definitely give yourself the support that you need to get through this growth trajectory that you're going through. A lot of times we don't recognize that becoming an entrepreneur is actually a development path. And truthfully, your company is only going to grow as fast as your skills grow. So I love that we've shined light on that today. And dear listener, I hope this has helped you on your path. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Drop a comment below or shoot me an email to Zofia@steminstilettos.com. Let me know what you loved, what you hated, who I should talk to, other topics you want to take on. I'm open to all of it. And until next week, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.